Hello and welcome to the walking tour of the Black Eagle camp of the Champion Sillimanite mine in Inyo County, California. First thing you'll see on the trail as you hike up is the Champion Hilton, and this is the trail here. And as you walk into camp, you'll notice there's a lot of small cabins around here. And I'll pick this back up at the sign as you walk into the main. Here we are at the sign that directs you to the upper camp, the upper part of the mine, where all the works are, where the miners did all their blasting and pulling material out of the ground. And the upper mine is up on that big mountain right there, right behind it. And you can actually go through. There's a hole in the rock up there that you can actually come through and look out and look down on this camp that we're at. The sign that you come to when you first walk into camp, it has just a simple explanation of how things work up here. This sign was put in by Don Fraser and his wife Margie Fraser back in the early 1990s. It's just a welcome to camp. It's a little faded now. It needs to probably be repaired or replaced. And I will come into camp. The first cabin that you will see is the what we refer to as the Champion Hilton. It is a small cabin that was originally restored by the Frasers back in the 1960s. This is the place that they like to stay. And this is where you're going to reach your first stopping point on the tour. This is the sign that was put up here for the elevation of the camp and where we are. And all of the cabins have windows and doors and screens, except for one cabin. This is the Hilton here. And I'll take you on a quick look inside if I can get the door open. In here we have 2 beds, a table, and a closet that has supplies people leave up here. There's a couple pictures on the wall. This one is a picture of Dr. Jeffrey, the one who actually discovered the deposit here in the camp, or in the canyon, for the Sillimanite. Sorry if I'm breaking up a little bit. I've been hiking, so I'm a little out of breath. Here's the little table that people use to cook on and whatever else, and candles and whatnot. And as I said, nice decorations on the walls, lots of books. In this room here, we have things that people have left. Pots and pans and food and whatnot. So I'll move on from this cabin. Is one of the 3 outhouses in camp. You know, what's a good camp without the facilities? So I got, basically it's a semi-private 2-seater. It has 2 lids. It comes complete with toilet paper holders and awesome smell. So have a good trip up here, and you can use the facilities when you bridge. It's made from the remnants of the water tank above camp. It was made in the late 80s or early 90s by a group called the Bridge Builders. They did a lot of work up here back then. It's just a small bridge crossing a small ravine. On your way into camp is actually called the Champion Black Eagle Museum. It has a lot of mementos from the past, bits and pieces of the camp, things that have been left, mineral samples, lots of articles, and many other things on the wall. We come in here, and there are very old pictures of the workings of the mine, miners, and things that have gone on, in times past. And there's pictures of all the mules, the works, how things worked up here back when. I'm not going to go into the details of the the mine workings back when. I'm just taking a photograph of the camp as it is today. Here's a place where people leave their business cards on the wall as they pass through, and there are several pages of these. And then as they get stale and old and people have left things for a long time ago, they start placing them in little containers like these. So there's lots of extra stuff in there. And there's old bottles, old tobacco cans. Here's the radio from High Camp, an old lantern that they would have used up there. There's a lot of interesting history in this place. There's a lot of old mineral specimens here. There's a shelf of boots that were discovered on the trails. I've put a few boots in here myself. I've gone up on the old trail, and you'll find dozens of old boots that have been discarded by the miners in the past, and they shrink up to little bitty things. You take a look at a boot that is no longer a boot, more of a relic. And here's the plaque that was put in back in 1995 when this place was declared a historical landmark by the mining historical society, or the Materials Information Society. And it tells about the camp, and there was a dedication that went on. I was there at the time. This is the mine register, where people come in and sign all the different pages in here. And when you finish your trip up here, you just sign in the register, and you're done. This is a picture of Don and Margie Fraser. These are the people that in the 1960s took this camp over, and from the mining company, where they had abandoned, the mining company had abandoned it, and they started to restore the cabins and get rid of the graffiti and keep it nice. That's why there are windows and beds and everything else. People bring things up here and keep this place alive. Otherwise, it would have either burned to the ground or rusted or just been gone. We take good care of it. The next cabin you come to is this small sleeping cabin that's right next to the museum. Here's the museum. This is just a small, 2-bed cabin. It's not my particular favorite. It's in pretty good shape. It isn't all beat up. Nice windows in it. It's got a small stove for the wintertime, and a few pictures on the walls. There are 2 beds in here, a small table, a few books that people have left, and basically what you see is what you get. It's just a small little room. It's winter tight. If you come up here in the wintertime, you can start a fire. Another small sleeping cabin. It's appointed about the same as the last one we were in. It has also a small stove. It has 2 beds and a little bookshelf with some books and little bits and pieces that people leave here. They're all in pretty decent condition. They're all pretty clean. Every place has curtains, windows, and stoves. Most impressive, in my opinion. This is the what we call the mess hall. It is both the old kitchen and the place where they ate. It's been a little bit modified to be another set of sleeping quarters, but it's also got still the old table and everything in here. Pardon the mess. There's a little bit of stuff still around. We're in the process of cleaning, but there's lots of cups and bowls and plates. Everything you need to cook is here. There's a couple of old camp stoves. And then there's this monster here. This actually still works, and I've used it several times. I've baked cakes and pizzas and biscuits and things. This is the old original camp stove here. It's been changed from oil to wood burning, but you can burn a fire in here. It'll actually go around the oven box, and the smoke goes out the chimney. And then there's a oven in here. We're complete with a rack, so you can bake whatever you need to bake. There's also a cook surface here that you can fry eggs on if it's wintertime. Don't do it in summer. It gets awfully hot in here when you run that thing. And here's our sink. And we actually have running water in camp. It runs most of the time if I've been up here. I usually take care of the water system. Otherwise, most people don't know how to repair it when the stream washes out. But there is running water throughout the camp sometimes, depending on who's been up here. But there is a system that allows that to happen. There's also this back room here. Is the old refrigerator. This used to be a refrigerator. It had, I'm sorry if it's kind of dark, but it used to have a giant refrigeration unit in here. This is where they kept things cold. It's a very thick door here. And everything you see at this camp, for the most part, except for things that backpackers have brought up, was all brought up on muleback over about a 2.5 mile canyon. This is the mess hall, and this is the original table that was in here, and benches. And I brought a couple of old chairs up here for anybody that wants to sit on them. And these are the 3 beds that have been put into this room. Mostly just a extra sleeping area. This is usually a community area. People sleep in here sometimes, but most of the time it's just a community room. And there is a very nice stove here. I've spent many winter nights, early spring nights, playing cards and have this nice fire going, and keeps this room nice and warm. There's no problem with heating in this place. Side of the mess hall is this very nice deck here that has an incredible view of the valley below. You watch sunsets here, you can make cell phone calls here, and you take a look off, and this is the view that you get. You can see the Sierra Nevada over that way, and you can even see our truck down there, and probably not in this video, but it is down there a couple miles. And yeah, it's a very, very nice little deck to sit on. It's made out of pretty much the remnants of the old water tank. Camp, there is an old wooden building. This, I believe, is the Assayers office. There's a big solid cement stone in the floor that was put in for keeping the balance scales accurate. There's a small tree here in the center of the camp, and a fire pit for having campfires and roasting s'mores. There's a lot of garbage in it right now, but we're going to take that out and get rid of it. This is the old Assayer's office. I think it was also his sleeping quarters as well. As you come in here, you'll see that the room has been patched up. There was some high school students came up and had a party here once, and they punched holes through all the walls, and we had to patch everything up in here. We've done a pretty good job, I think. Still don't have any new windows for it, but that'll come in time. Right now we just have old pieces of metal around to keep the weather out. If you really want to, you can sleep in an old cot. Somebody's brought up the second room of the old Assayer's office, and this is where the office actually was. The other room, I believe, was the quarters, the assayer or the manager of the mine. I'm not exactly sure who stayed here. We had a few years back a group of high school students poke pipes and threw rocks through the walls, and we've done our very best to patch all the problems. We still have a few problems with the ceiling in here. It needs to be jacked up and put back into place, and see if we can straighten up some of this bulging that's going on. It's mostly problems because this room actually had wood shakes for its ceilings a few years back, and volunteers have come up here and found enough metal to actually redo the entire roof of this place. And this is the Assayer stone here. It's a very level piece of cement, concrete that the scale used to stand on, and it's about the only level thing in this building. Actually, it's about the only level thing in this whole camp. Dugout area here is the remains of what used to be I believe, a root cellar or a explosive storage area. And in 1995-96, we decided to turn it into a sauna, and we put a cement floor in, and we worked really hard to make this a sauna. And then about 1998, some Yahoo came up here and got a little too hot and burned it to a crisp, and it is now no longer a sauna or anything else. It's just kind of a dugout area where there used to be a sauna. This is one of our several water faucets in camp. The water is still actively running. You can turn it on. It comes out pretty cold after a minute or two. The pipes are a little shallow, so sometimes the sun gets to them. So you let it run for a few minutes and you get nice cold water. More interesting places in camp. This is the water spout next to our shower. This is one of the two showers in camp. How this shower works is basically you fill this 55-gallon drum up with water until it's pretty full. It'll come up to about over halfway. There's a couple holes in it so it leaks a little bit. Then in this tray here you build a fire and shove it up underneath, and that heats the water up. And after you've heated the water, you pull the fire out to keep it from getting too hot, and you add some cold water to it. And down here is the actual shower stall. You come down here, and when you get to this place here, you go on in here. You disrobe over here. Of course, it's outside. Everybody can see you, so you usually do it in the evening. And you get in this little shower stall here, and there's a makeshift shower head up here. And you turn on a faucet that's right here, and water comes dribbling down through this. And you use your soap and wash up. You've got a place to hang your towel outside. And usually you got a towel hanging here, and you dry off, get dressed, and head back on inside. There's one of our towels I got to pick up before we go. What we come to is the maintenance shed. There's we call it the shop typically. And you come on in here, and there are various maintenance tools around. There's shovels, picks, things you need in camp. This thing here is actually a stove carrier. You put big heavy items on this, and you can bring them up the trail from the car. And in this corner here is an old electrical box that I brought up in 2003 to put electricity in this place. And some guy that decided that this place doesn't need electricity. You shouldn't mess with the natural balance of nature in the camp, and blah 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 blah. Decided to vandalize it, and he stole my solar panel, which was up on the roof above there. And he tore out all the electronics, took all the wiring. He just totally wrecked the place. I mean, the guy was a nut. Yeah, this is all the little supplies. There's caulk and sealants and putties and glue and things that are needed in camp to keep this place from falling completely apart. Is actually the old compressor house. And back in the 1980s, some high school students had a party up here and partied a little hardy and decided to burn the place down accidentally. I don't know if they decided to do it or just happened. But that's the stand for the old compressor over there. And yeah, this is an old foundation for a big cabin that housed the little shack out back, number 2. This is the one that most people that are in the main part of camp use. The other one that I first showed you is actually mostly for the Hilton. It's a one-holer. This was actually blown up back in the either the 70s or 80s by a madman who wanted to blow up the whole camp. He brought a bunch of dynamite up here. And he threw dynamite down in this and just blew it to bits. And then back in the late 90s, a group of volunteers picked all the metal and wood and whatever they could to rebuild this place and put together a new shack on the side of the old one. So at least we've got 3 of them in camp instead of 2. You don't have to hike all the way over to the Hilton to the old wood storage shed where they'd store firewood for the stoves. Right now it's mostly being used as a place to keep all the spare metal bits to repair water systems and whatever else. This is basically just a little metal shed to be used for storage. We store extra supplies in here. Walk out of camp, you'll walk across this little bridge, and this will take you over to the canyon where the creek runs down. And there's a little bit of water flowing in it. It's not a great amount right now. This time of the year it gets a little bit dry up here, but there is still a little bit of water coming down the canyon, as you can see, just a little bit. And I'm going to take you up higher above where we get our water for the water system. And this hose that's running here is actually just coming off a little ways up where it picks the water out of the thing. I'll show you that. There's a little half pipe that the water comes through right here. It just comes down as a creek, comes into this pipe and does that. That's for people to fill their bottles when they get up to the creek. I'll restart the video when I get in the water canyon where the water comes out from under the ground. It's actually coming out right up underneath this log here. It comes out of the ground right there. There's no water above this log except for where we get our water for the water system. There's a little pond here, nice clear water running out, and it runs down a little ways. Water barrel from about 8 or 9 years ago, maybe 10. I put this in to collect water for the water system. It's a little worse for wear. There must have been a landslide in the canyon and it just tore up this barrel. I mean, it's completely gone. Interesting to see it this way. I mean, last time I saw it, the water comes out of the ground for our little spring. People have dug down here and dug up the ground, and the water comes out and put it into this little pipe here. Unfortunately, this little hole is exactly the right size for my dog to lay down in, and he's done that about twice while we're here, which causes muddy water to go down into camp. Worse than that, muddy dog water. And this is where the water comes out into our weir box, where the water comes in. And we have a little couple of old bowls with some holes in it and some screen to keep the spiders and other etc. out of there. And underneath here we have where the water goes in. It goes into that little pipe there and heads on down. Now there's not a whole lot of water in camp right now because it's a dry time of year, and well, this spring runs about this fast all the time. A little more in the spring, a little less in the autumn, but you know, it's enough to keep things going. Then it comes into this pipe here and runs all the way down this canyon, about 300 feet into camp. Across the creek, there is a trail that takes you up to what we call Sunset Point. We sit up there to watch the sunsets occasionally. It's a really nice, beautiful view from up there, and it's just nice to sit up there and look down. I've got some pictures of the camp from up there that I'll put in this video. North side of the mess hall, I'm going to take you into the wash house. This is where they would have cleaned up after a long day's work and got ready for having dinner. This is the old wash sinks are here. They're covered right now, but they're just old wash tub sinks. There's no water in them yet. We were planning on doing that at some point. It's been a long time though. The walls are falling apart in here. It's not in prime condition. There's holes in the ceiling and lots of stuff like that. The one thing that does work is the fact that there is a cold water shower in here. Unfortunately, the drain's plugged, but you turn it on and water comes out. You wash yourself off. It's just cold water from the creek, but hey, anything's better than nothing when you're desperate for a shower, and you don't have to light wood on fire to heat it up. We did have plans to put a hot water system here, but you know, it didn't work out. We gave up on that idea. And more holes in the walls here. Little changing room. So also caused at the same time when the Yahoos from Bishop came up in about 1996, I think. These guys, they're just little idiot kids, and they just like, oh, throw rocks through the walls and break all the windows, ha 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 ha, you know. What goes through the minds of some people, I just don't understand. That's why all the holes are in these walls. These walls were actually in pretty good shape when we started coming up here. And no, they had to chuck rocks through things. You know, I don't know what goes through some people's minds. Well, here's the last two cabins I have to show you. This is the upper left cabin. This is the one I typically stay in. It's one of the nicer cabins to sleep in. And my backpack's sitting there to go on down. Only about 100 pounds or so. And yeah, here's the cabin. You've got a big double bed on this side, and you've got a twin bed on this side. Basic cabin. It's got a really nice wood burning stove here, and it's got you know, a little table with supplies that people have left. And then I'm going to take you over to the upper right-hand cabin, and this is where my dad sleeps when I'm up here, because I claim that cabin. And you see it has two nice twin beds on it, and it has curtains, a little wood burning stove, and a table with supplies and stuff. That's about all the cabins are up here, but they're nice. They've got glass windows, and they've got plenty of place to sleep for everybody. So these are the two upper cabins, and I'll show them to you from a bit of a distance. This is the trail that heads down into the camp, and there's that big wood building I showed you earlier, and the museum. And these are the two upper cabins. Well, here's our final stop. This is the very top outhouse. It leans a bit. It is very easy to get into and sit down in, but hard to get out of. It has two seats, and it has two paper holders, and we painted it pink a long time ago. Pink outhouse, why not? And yeah, my friend and I were going goofy and painted this place pink.